every defense is the Washington Generals, and they know it's rigged for them to succeed. Come on, man. We lateral all in the beginning of the fourth?
Well, listen, there's a play in this game where Patrick Mahomes is scrambling and he throws the ball across his body. One, that's something you shouldn't do.
Right.
And then Travis Kelce catches it and pitches it to LaShawn McCoy, and LaShawn McCoy is running with it like it's a loaf of bread, and it actually stinking works. This team is unbelievable how talented they are, and what they're doing is following their leader, following their quarterback. This is a guy who scrambles and looks back at the jumbotron, the referee, I don't even know who it is, because the Washington Generals, who they're playing on defense every week, they don't matter. Right now, they're running up to people with confetti in a bucket and throwing it on them, and the people think it's freaking water.
All right, here's the next tweet. Brody's. Gettleman is in his suite, chilling like King Jaffe Joffer when Prince Akeem realized Lisa was under the veil. He picked Jones instead of Haskins, let Collins go and got Peppers. Peppers picked 6 on Haskins. It's the circle of life. Explain that tweet.
Well, you know, it was just the Africa theme, you know what I mean? Circle of life, we holding Simba up, and also coming to America. You remember when Akeem pulled that veil and realized it was Lisa, and King was like, yeah. And then his old lady, the queen, was next to him like, yeah. And so that's how Gettleman is sitting up there. Gettleman's in his suite, and he's seeing Jabril Peppers run down the field with the interception, and Haskins is throwing 3 picks, and he's like, I told y'all was trying to get me up out of here. Ryan Clark said I was going to lose my job. Ha, I'm not. Now we all going back to Zamunda because I'm the king. And they like, what is that, velvet? Because that's how we roll.
And these are references I actually know. I know the movie, so I couldn't be happier. All right, next tweet. Chase Daniel is such a luxury. He doesn't need many practice reps to be prepared to play, and it showed there on that drive.
Listen, he came right into the game, and he dropped dimes. He actually looked better than Mitchell Trubisky had looked all season. And we understand he has limitations, but it is a skill to not get the practice reps, to not work with a certain group, and be able to come into the game and perform like this. I know there was an article written the year of the black quarterback. This is the year of the backup quarterback, and we're watching Chase Daniel use this offense and work this offense in a way we haven't seen it done. And when you're the Chicago Bears ready to win now, this is what you need.
All right, and then this last one, this I think is a pretty important point, and we're going to talk about this one. The tweet is, so this isn't a penalty on the Tampa Bay offensive lineman? A defensive player would be in jail. Let's show the play.
Yes. And listen, this play to me is everything that's wrong with the NFL and the way that we view these rules. Sean McDermott and the Buffalo Bills were upset about that hit that they had on Josh Allen. If a quarterback gets hit like this, a wide receiver, this guy, there's a flag thrown, which there isn't on this play. There's a flag thrown, and we are all sitting around the table here at Get Up asking, should Donovan Smith even get to play the rest of the season? If Vontaze Burfict does this, the ban isn't for the rest of the year. The ban is for life, and this shouldn't be allowed in the game if it's truly about player safety and not keeping the people that make all of the money healthy. I don't like it. I hate it. And I think something needs to be said about this publicly that shows that the NFL is doing something about this hit that Donovan Smith levied on to Marcus Peters.
Yes, I want to get Dominique in as well. So the people involved here, Donovan Smith, the offensive lineman for Tampa, he's 6'6", 338. And that's Marcus Peters that he hit, and you see the reaction. Dominique?
Marcus Peters is about 190 pounds, but I think the interesting part is the reactions. The reactions on social media and the reaction everywhere is laughing and having fun. Look how Marcus Peters got laid out. But this is the same thing. Like, he's darn near in the end zone. It's completely unnecessary. And the reason why the hit was levied the way it was in order to punish Marcus Peters. He was trying to make him pay because there's nothing you can do with it right there. We always talk about protecting guys, protecting players' head, and the onus is always on the defenders to protect the offensive guys.
Yes.
The defensive players need to be protected too. CTE is real for everyone who's on that field, and this is going to be a repercussion that Marcus Peters is going to deal with for a long time.
Just look at his helmet snap back. I mean, it really is stunning.
Marcus Peters was taken directly into the locker room to be checked for a concussion, because if you watch this hit, you knew it was illegal, and you also knew how brutal it was. You cannot have that.
His teammates picked him up off the ground, and no one was bothered by this. Everyone thought this was cute and funny, but somehow we see what Vontaze Burfict did to a man who was looking, and it was like, oh, get him out of the league forever.
It will be very interesting to see if there is any further reaction. They sometimes levy these fines several days after the act, so we'll see if that happens. All right, well done. To some college here, because Mr. Feinbaum is here, and we all saw it. Clemson surviving a scare against North Carolina Saturday, and the voters at the Associated Press definitely took notice as they became the first team since Ohio State in 2015 to drop from the #1 spot in the ranking after winning a game. Alabama is the new #1. Those are the AP rankings as you see them. On the 6 o'clock Sports Center last night, Kirk Herbstreit was on, and they asked him who he thinks is the best team in the country right now. Here's what he said.
For me, I think Ohio State, despite playing some inferior opponents, they've been the most complete football team. Their offense and the way they've executed with Justin Fields and J.K. Dobbins and that offensive line, a great group of wide receivers. The defense led by Chase Young, getting after the quarterback, seemed to be reacting much quicker this year with a couple new defensive coordinators that are helping them out. So I think they've been the most complete team. And, you know, there are a lot of landmines still out there for Ohio State. But if you're just going by what you've seen up to this point, I'd put them at the top.
Paul Feinbaum is with us as he is every week. Is Ohio State the best team in the country?
They are the best team, and Kirk said it. They seem to be playing better without Urban Meyer. Ryan Day has given them new life, and I think they have a really excellent chance of running the table in the Big Ten. They have good, tough games, but I think they'll get past it, which brings an interesting question, Creaney, and I don't want to upset anyone in South Carolina, but what if we get a scenario where Ohio State runs the table? Alabama meets Georgia in a 1 versus 2 or 2 versus 3 matchup in the SEC game. And then you have Oklahoma undefeated. And there is Clemson undefeated, having played absolutely no one during the regular season. And suddenly, is Clemson fighting for a berth? Most people say, oh, absolutely not. They'll 23 straight games, defending national champion. That should not matter at all, though. This is not an award. This is not the Irving Thalberg Award, or the Oscar. Right. I mean, you're supposed to be graded on what you do. And I think you could make a case that the loser of the SEC game, or maybe even you can't have a Wisconsin-Ohio State game because they play each other, but depending on who it is, or even LSU having lost at Alabama, deserves serious consideration.
I completely agree with you. That's what it's going to come down to. Like right now, if you were to put together the 4 best teams in the country, I don't think Clemson would be in it. I don't think anyone who's been watching it would put them in it. And is it fair that these SEC teams, here I am making your argument, are all going to have to play it off against each other, and the other teams we're talking about will not have a test that's even close to that?
Even Notre Dame would have more of a shot, having had to go down to Georgia. So, I mean, I think it's a fascinating conversation. The committee meets in a couple of weeks, and we'll hear from them in 4 weeks. But I don't think Clemson really is in that top 4.
Well, let's see where they put Clemson when we get there, depending on where things fall. All right, I'll have more with Paul a little later. I want to talk about this a little further. Meanwhile, I'll remind you, you can see the team we think is the best in the country Saturday night. Again, Justin Fields and Ohio State on ABC taking on number 25 Michigan State. It's Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern. It's on ABC and on the ESPN app. Back to where we began this morning, the Nationals pulling off a dramatic 4-3 come-from-behind win in the National League wildcard game last night. Heartbreak for Trent Grisham. He overruns a single by Juan Soto with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. 3 runs come in to score on the play. It had been 3-1 the Nationals trailing. It turns into a 4-3 Nationals lead and a 4-3 Nationals win. Of interest, or maybe a smile on your face, Michael Wilbon tweeted last night, "This just in. Nationals delivered the most exciting half inning in team history. An obsessed Nats fan, Anthony Kornheiser, didn't see it. Fell asleep 45 minutes earlier. I will pound him without mercy." For the full Wednesday episode of PTI. So we look forward to that. And then we remind you that tonight on ESPN, we have the American League game, the 1-game play-in into the remainder of the postseason. A's and Rays, 16-game winner Charlie Morton gets the start for Tampa against Oakland after going 4-0 in September. Baseball tonight starting at coverage at 7 Eastern, followed by the Rays and A's, 8 Eastern on ESPN and on the ESPN app. And here is Doug Glanville, our baseball analyst, who joins us live. Great to see you again, Doug. And we will talk about last night's game coming up in a few minutes off the top of the next hour. But let's look ahead to tonight's American League wildcard game, again, between the A's and the Rays. What is the key for both sides tonight?
Well, Greeny, when you look at the Oakland A's, you have to recognize that it's their power game. They're a team that can hit the ball out of the ballpark. So on the offensive side, that's been the separator. Home run has been king. That's the way the leagues are shaping up. You can see how the home runs are the way teams are now built. Hit the ball out of the ballpark, put up the big inning, put up the crooked number. So the Oakland A's offense is their separator, and that's going to be their advantage going in tonight.
And so what do you expect to happen, Doug? What is your expectation tonight, American League wildcard game?
Yeah, when you look at the Rays, I like their advantage because they play mistake-free baseball. They pitch, they play defense, and when you're playing in the Oakland Coliseum, you have all that space out